Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. We got Coinbase, Solana, and Ethereum proof of stake. You're going to want to know about it. Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, on Fox. And we got an illustration you need to see about where crypto's going. SEC Ripple damages problem. We're going to get into all of that. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. We are 35 days away from the largest XRP conference in the world, May 3rd, May 4th, 2024. It's going to be incredible at MGM Grand. Get your room and your discount on your room while it's still available. Stay right on site. It is a beautiful facility with great shops and eateries. You won't believe it. Walk right from your room to the conference. It's going to be an incredible time. A new era of finance. That is the theme of the conference this year, and we have with us Nick Burafedo from Link2. Nick, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, Brad. How are you?
I'm doing great. So tell us about XRP Las Vegas from Link2's point of view here.
Wow, we're so excited. I mean, it's, we're just a little more than a month away, and I speak with our members, our investors every day, and they're just so excited about going. And I was on DAI's channel yesterday to saying to his listeners, which I'll tell your listeners, it's such a great opportunity to meet like-minded people. People in the XRP community, people in the Link2 community, people invested in digital assets and private equity, and look at people that attend will have the ability to meet John Deaton and Greg Kidd and two senatorial candidates. I mean, it's like when in your life do you have the opportunity to do these things?
That's right.
It's such a tremendous opportunity to meet people, and that's the one thing that digital assets has done for all of us, right? It's put us in a position to meet people that we would have never met in our lives. And it's really, that's probably the coolest thing I could say that's ever come out of this whole thing. So we're thrilled. We're doing two events. So quickly, I'll just say we're doing two events for our members. We have a daytime Link2 Investor Conference that's taking place on the 2nd, and I think the time is 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., and we'll be serving lunch. It is completely booked. I mean, I can't fit a sheet of paper in that room. It is just it's just booked. That evening, the evening of the 2nd, we're having a TA mixer. It's one of our classic, Team Apollo parties, and just I'm so thrilled about that. I have a little bit of space left for that one. So Team Apollo members, if you haven't filled out your invite, you need to reach out to us here at Link2 to be sure that we get you on the invite list. So we're just so pumped about coming, Brad.
Well, and we're pumped to have you. And I tell you, look, I'm pumped to go to this Link2 events too. I mean, I signed up and registered. I want to let everybody know as well, because we've announced that VIP tickets are already sold out. But I want to let them know that we've just crossed into record-setting numbers with ticket sales. We are setting a record right now with every ticket that we sell, because we've broken last year's attendance. So this is just remarkable.
Well, and what's funny is here we are in the last 40 days, and I remember last year it was the 2-week run-up to the event that people were going crazy clamoring for tickets, right?
Yes.
So don't be that person.
Yeah.
Don't be that person. I mean, if you've been saying, "Oh, I'm going to buy a ticket," Today's your day. Like, don't be that person, because I know they're going to call me, Brad. They're going to go, "Nick, you got to get me a ticket." And I'm going to say, "I can't get you a ticket." So please save me those calls.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it really is that way. So, Nick, before we go, tell us what's really hot on the platform for Link2 and private equity right now.
Boy, Brad, we've got 60 companies on the platform now.
Whoa.
There's so much going on. There's something for everyone at Link2. I mean, there really is. And there isn't anyone from any sector that would come to Link2 and not find something they're interested in. I would say this is for your listeners, probably the most popular investments right now are Circle, because they filed their confidential S1 recently this year. We just had a company last week that was on our platform go public, which was Astera Labs, and I would encourage everyone to take a look at what they've done in the public market since they've gone public last week. It's just been fantastic. Cerebras is just hitting it out of the park, and they build the largest, fastest AI chip in the world, and it's 12 inches by 12 inches. It's gold. It's gorgeous. It has 4 trillion transistors. It's just such an amazing looking and performing product. It was clocked at 130 times faster than NVIDIA's chip. That company is incredibly popular. We literally sold out yesterday, and I've just encouraged our office to do everything they can to bring more Cerebras to our platform because our members are so excited about it. And then yesterday we launched a new company. A lot of people are familiar with this company. Some people aren't, and it's Stripe. Stripe is a payments infrastructure company, and they do what Square does and what PayPal does. And in fact, their early investors were Peter Thiel from PayPal and also Elon Musk. They've already got 20% market share, and one of their claims to fame is, they do more transactions, I think, per second, per minute than PayPal can. They also do not only credit cards and debit cards, but they verify bank accounts, digital wallets for crypto. So they're really advanced in their payment methods. And I read yesterday that 90% of adults have used Stripe, whether they know it or not.
Oh, so, yeah.
It's a monster. It's a huge company. So take a look if you're interested. We did launch it yesterday. It was incredibly popular yesterday. And what I would say is anyone that's interested, come see us at Link 2. And if you're not, and listen, also, quick reminder, for all those folks that have been listening to your program for all of these years that have said, I'm going to join Link 2 someday, and I'm eventually going to do it, just like buying their ticket for XRP Las Vegas. What are you waiting for? I need you to grab a pen. I need you to write right now, wherever you're sitting, on a piece of paper, and the following 2 things. Buy my ticket for XRP Las Vegas. I'll wait a second. and I want you to visit link2.com because I want you to see how easy it is to join Link 2 and get involved in private equity. So write that down too. That's number 2. And number 3 is just have a fantastic day.
Yes, absolutely. And we hope you do too. And we cannot wait to see you and everybody from the Link 2 fam at XRP Las Vegas. Nick Burafedo, thank you so much.
Brad, thanks for all you do. You take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right, big thank you to Nick Burafedo for stopping by the channel here this morning. 62 cents for XRP, ranging between 60 and 62 cents. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's get into it. The XRP Ledger Automated Market Maker hot fix released 24 hours ago, and guess what? The activation for that bug fix will be active on April 11th. It is already over the 80% required to make the fix. So this is super exciting right here. Shout out to Vet. Vet is like really amazing at keeping all of us, especially us non-technical people out here, up to date with what's happening. And I'm super grateful. So I hope you all give him a follow. No question about it. Then here is a reminder about the Judge Falia has denied the Coinbase's motion case to dismiss, which we covered yesterday. But I wanted to share this because don't lose sight that this really targets other cryptos as being securities as well. In the longer part of this, if you go down into the Qcoin case, we know that Solana, has also been cited to be possibly a security. So the ETH VCs that have moved their position from Ethereum to Solana better watch out because you're on the hot plate still. And this whole security business for Ethereum has not finished playing out either. So we need to find out exactly how damaging would it be or would it not be to Ethereum if it does follow through with a securities designation because of the transition to proof of stake. We'll keep you up to date. Right here is CEO's Larry Fink. Oh boy. Well, you're going to like this. Somebody put this out because Larry Fink is asked about an Ethereum ETF, knowing how well the Bitcoin spot ETF went. Take a listen.
This is your ETF
Yes.
over at iShares.
Yes.
It's about to overtake Grayscale, which was in the business certainly a lot longer. You look at the gains since January 11th when it first came about.
Yes.
Have you ever seen this much inflow this quickly into
iBeta is the fastest growing ETF in the history of ETFs.
Oh,
Nothing has gained assets as fast as I've been in the history of ETF.
So Ether is next with an ETF?
We'll see. That's under registration.
Okay, so let's just not talk about your product.
Right.
Talk about Ether. The SEC, there's lots of noise about them declaring Ether a security, which would take it out of the Bitcoin category as a commodity. How does that translate into an ETF?
I don't think that, look, I really can't talk about it, but I don't think that designation is going to be that deterious to.
Oh, really? So even if it's a security, you could start an ETF, an ETH ETF.
I think so, yeah.
Well, that's wild.
So there you have it. He says, I don't think it'll be that deterious to the ETF if it gets a security designation. So something to pay attention to. I want to remind you that Pierce will be participating at XRP Las Vegas, and they have built the EVM bridge to help get from the Ethereum network over to the XRP ledger. So this conversation just got more serious and a lot heavier as far as that goes. So I want you to listen to this throwback here from Craig DeWitt, former Ripple executive, now the founder of Supermojo. Listen to what he said at the time before the ruling came out about the Ripple case. And this falls in line a lot with what we've talked about here on this channel. But take a listen to this as a reminder here.
The ruling comes out in such a way that XRP is alone cleared as a non-security in the United States. Meaning that with all the other stuff that the SEC is pulling, suing exchanges, suing other coins, are going to sue some big ones as well, that only BTC and XRP have legal clarity in the United States for a 2-year period.
How about that one? Shout out to Craig DeWitt there. I mean, calling that one off the cuff. And if you remember back in a year ago, a little more than a year ago, when I put out this diagram here about the SEC's crypto war strategy, which was to sue each different value protocol business model and or use case, like proof of work, proof of stake, DeFi lending, federated Byzantine agreement, and NFTs. And if we look at it under the buckets here, you know, we know that Ripple's business model, because Ripple has a profit-making company that uses an XRP decentralized ledger and the asset XRP in its business model, right? And stack of products. So that got sued. That should provide clarity once that's over for networks like Stellar as well, even though it's nonprofit. Then we had DeFi lending. Remember, DeFi money market got hung up. BlockFi got hung up. And they're still going after DeFi aspects of what Coinbase is doing with the lending. So staking's still an issue. Proof of stake is now on the docket to be sued. Prometheum says they're going to list it. This is over a year ago we're talking about this, and look what's happening. We are river dancing all over the top of this thing, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's happening. And I expect this to continue, unfortunately, because this will provide the legal precedent that is required for Congress to act and write legislation. And this is what we've been seeing, and I think what we're going to continue to see, unfortunately. Listen to this when it comes to Ripple case. Scott Melker sits down with none other than James Metalawman Murphy. Yeah, listen to what he says about the remedies case and about how the SEC is going to have a very tough time proving damages.
The bigger argument here, in my view, is Ripple caught a very, very lucky break recently. The Second Circuit Court of Appeals ruled at the end of last year that in order for there to be disgorgement, there have to be victims of the fraud, victims of the securities law violation. There has to be something called pecuniary harm, and that means losses, actual losses.
And very quickly, there are no fraud charges to support exactly what James Murphy is explaining.
So when you read the SEC's filing on their damages theory, they have a heading saying, hey, no problem, there's pecuniary harm here, but they don't actually identify a single purchaser of XRP who lost money. What they say is some purchasers, and remember, we're talking about sophisticated institutional buyers, hedge funds, VCs, whales buying XRP, and they bought at discounts and then presumably sold, not the next day, but periodically. And so the SEC says some of the buyers got a lower discount than others, and therefore they were pecuniarily harmed, which does violence to that term. There have to be actual losses, and they do not identify a single quote unquote victim institution that lost money in their deal because they bought all of this XRP at some significant discounts. Yeah, and just to tie a bow on it, this concept of disgorgement, while it is a party who's done something wrong, issued an unregistered security, is supposed to give back their net profit from doing that, that money is supposed to go to victims, not to the Treasury. And so if there are no victims, the entire rationale for the disgorgement goes away. And so if there's no disgorgement, by the way, Scott, then there's no 200 million in interest. Right. Interest triggers off of disgorgement, and so that would go away. Now, caveat is you can still have a penalty in the absence of victims and a disgorgement judgment, but it would be weird for an $850 million penalty in a situation where there's no disgorgement, no victims, no restitution fund, no nothing. That would be pretty odd. And so the court then would have a lot of discretion in establishing what the penalty might be. And I think it'd be substantially lower than that 850.
I think he's spot on, and, you know, he knows a lot about it, you know, and I could tell you, you know, the other thing here, again, to support the whole point that he's making here, is that there are no criminal or fraud charges of any kind in this case. It is unheard of, the grab that the SEC is going after here. Now, again, we've all heard the remarks, flip the switch. Well, flip the switch is very real. We've covered here, shout out to Smoke Dog for this reminder here, Nikos Andrikigiannis-Paulopoulos. Yeah, and I just train wrecked that, but shout out to Nikos. But he talks here, Goldman Sachs 2023 Fall Digital Asset Conference. It all boils down to technology, and a lot of speakers already agreed that the infrastructure and institutional adoption has now been built, which was an obstacle previously. The flip of the switch now depends on, the same thing we've been talking about here, regulatory approval. There's your white swan. It's exactly what I've said. It's not a lack of builders. The lack of builders, the lack of attention is all coming from the SEC being a schoolyard bully, suppressing us with a case hanging over our freaking heads, right? That's what's going on here. And when we look further, you can see the development to reach that final destination happening with SWIFT itself, preparing for the moment that's coming. Remember, we just reported that SWIFT completes second testing phase for its CBDC interlinking solution, right? SWIFT planning launch of new central bank digital currency platform in 12 to 24 months. If you want to know when all hell will be breaking loose in this space, at least in part, I believe SWIFT just told us. You know, this is David Schwartz. Take a listen to this.
Ripple's CBDC solution enables central banks to create a private parallel network, a permissioned blockchain that you can issue a CBDC on, and then you can connect that to the main public XRP ledger. Our vision is to solve for interoperability between CBDCs while creating a virtual lab for central banks to experiment with new features. The transactions are verified by the same consensus protocol used by the XRP ledger, which is less energy intensive, cheaper, and over 120,000 times more efficient than things like proof of work. Major first step in providing central banks with a secure, controlled, and flexible solution. Imagine every major institution in the world able to settle every major fiat asset with every other institution in a compatible jurisdiction in seconds for less than a penny. And I'll say that again in case you missed it. Imagine every major institution in the world able to settle every major fiat asset with every other institution in a compatible jurisdiction in seconds for less than a penny. That is a very, very big deal.
You know, You know, you just can't say it any better than David just said it right there, right? David Schwartz, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're talking about. And you know what? This is why I come back to this, because this is a big deal. And if you look here, like I say, somebody asked down here, this Ben Rogers says, and I want to answer this legitimately. Why does DAI, Brad Kimes, and it's an M as in Mary, but it's okay, Ben. We got you. I know who you meant. BCB, Encash Official, CKC, Mulambo, or any other XRP OG on YouTube talk about integration of smart contracts through Flare for XRP. Do you think it's a conspiracy? I mean, do you think they don't want people outside to know about it yet? And then he says, just a bit dodgy to me. Well, I understand where you're coming from, Ben. I don't take any offense to you asking. And I want to say this, because I can't speak for anyone else, but the reason I don't focus more on projects like DeFi or projects that are DeFi like Flare Networks is because I'm concerned they will be targeted. See the diagram below here. You could put Flare Networks under this, DeFi lending, right? Which they've gone after before, and I don't think they're over going after again. And I think it's pretty cool to understand that, you know, Hugo resides in Dubai where he doesn't have to worry about such things. But if you're a United States resident, you better. You better. Have you not seen enough? I want these things to succeed. I believe Flare Networks is going to be fantastic. However, I don't see it getting through the regulatory gauntlet without one of these platforms being sued to create legal precedent like we're currently getting right now in the Ripple case. And we currently may see some kind of thing happen with Ethereum now with proof of stake. We've already seen some precedent be found in the DeFi with DeFi Money Market case and BlockFi. They had to settle and admit that they were a security, right? But just look at Ethereum's current situation of proof of stake. That's staking. What do you do on those platforms with Flare or Songbird? You're staking. So all I'm saying is be careful. I believe in this technology, and I believe it's ultimately the next iteration of finance, but I also believe that it's going to have to cross that legal river to get it done. So be careful. That's all I can say. And shout out to Hugo and Flare Networks. I'm not throwing shade. I believe in the platform, just like I believe in Ripple and XRP. But at the same time, Ripple and XRP had to go through the regulatory gauntlet and the court case too. Right now, we're looking at this. Eggrag Crypto says XRP guaranteed 6 to 10 times. I love it. It's not financial advice from him, me, or anyone else, but historical data serves as the blueprint for future movements. So this is what we're looking at. We could see a green jump of 900% to $5.50 or to 585% to $4. You can see from the illustration right here and where you can see those numbers and where we could see that kind of jump. And here's where we are. Super interesting to see the 21 and the 55 MA underneath, and we've had the golden cross, and the number is dancing on top of it right now beautifully. So where this goes, it's getting pretty exciting. If you look at these last little areas where things broke out the last couple times between 2017, 18, and 2021, this is pretty interesting. We will have to see, and I can't wait to watch it with all of you. And right now, we're going into the Freedom Zone, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you'll join us. For almost next to nothing, you can support the channel by going to digitalperspectives.com, clicking on the Freedom Zone, and coming on in. This is not financial advice of me or anyone else. And today, we're going to talk about the continued plan to take out the farmer so they can control the food. And if they control the food, they control all of us. And I'm about to show it to you right now in the Freedom Zone. Come on in. All